Okay, I'm now going to go through an IEC tutorial using See Electrical V8R1. So this tutorial is going to take you through creating a new project, creating some pages, and drawing schematics. That's drawing wires and symbols and connecting them. See Electrical comes as a basic, standard, and advanced. So the features I'm going to show here are just from the basic version. Anything above that, and I will tell you. So we start with File and New, and we can type the name of the project. You can put spaces in there, anything that the file system accepts. This will create a new file. So when we click Save, we can choose a new template. So this is a project that's already been created with settings applied. So I'm going to choose code and consecutive numbers. So this is for the IEC version. Click on OK, and our project is now available. So it's in the workspace. There are a variety of different tabs around the edge of the page which you can toggle on and off from the home section, and you can move these around by dragging on the blue bars and dock them around the page. To dock one of these, you drop it onto one of the transparent boxes and you can see the position appearing until I let go of my cursor. So we'll start with the project. At the moment we've got a project which is shown at the top. It shows the actual name of it, and we can right click and we can go to information, and on the right here on mine I can see the properties, so I can put information about the project. So I can type in here example project, and I can put tutorial IEC. And this information is project wide, so it will be the same for the whole project. So if this information appears on the title block, every page will be the same. If I change it here, it will update every page. So that's the project information. We can now go straight into creating a page. We can right click on circuit diagram IEC and choose the first option, new page. Here the page is already filled in, so we don't have to change anything there. We can just put that this is incoming supply and motors. Click on OK, and that's our first page. Now the main drawing is going to be done with the electrical toolbar at the top. We can change how that looks, but for the moment we'll leave it as the default. From the electrical toolbar, we're going to bring in some potentials to wire to. So we're going to click on the top left, top, and we can type the name for that potential. So I'm going to type L1. Press enter twice to accept. Top again, and we get the next one in. Notice that the value box is already selected. We don't have to click anywhere. We just type straight away. We can also use the Windows control or copy method of holding down control whilst you drag something, and that gives you a copy. And you can see the little plus next to the cursor. When I let go of the cursor, I can then type in the new name. So you can keep control held down for the whole of that. So I've now got L1, 2 and 3, and I'll add one more top for a neutral. Next thing, I can put some 3-phase wiring on there. So I can click on 3 wires, start at the top and go down. It's always from the top downwards. And I can then put perhaps some symbols on there. So now we can go to symbols. And for most of this, we're going to use the IEC 81346 standard. So we click on the electrical and automation, and we've got lots of different symbols in there, different types of categories of symbols. Your first sort of obstacle is to get used to the catalog and find out where things are. So under terminals, for instance, we've got a list of different ones here, and we've got 5 incoming power. So it's a circuit with these already in here. I'm going to zoom in a bit. That's holding down control, wheel forwards on the wheel, click to place it, and I'm going to say this is terminal strip X1. So that's set the first one. I can now click OK, and it's put the rest of these in. Notice that if I click on the other ones, the X1 is there. It's the same strip, but it's turned off on the show, so we don't actually see that. Otherwise it would overlap the other information. I'm going to connect using a single wire from the neutral all the way down, and I see a little circle appear when I get to the connection point, and I can click on the neutral there. Now I want an isolator on here, so I'm going to go into switchgear multipole. I look down the list and I'm looking for 3-pole plus link. So I've got one here. Now with these symbols, rather than search for them every time, if it's a common symbol that I use frequently, I can right click, add to favorites, and it goes up to the top so I can find it easily. It's on my cursor as well, so I can now just click to place that. Notice it breaks the wires automatically. I can click and drag to move it up and down or off the wires, and it will break and reseal wherever it goes. The next thing, I'm going to put some wiring on here for a motor. This is going to be a direct online motor. I'm going to draw from the top downwards, and I'm going to place a motor at the bottom. So scroll down my list of symbols, motors and generators, and I want a 3-phase with an earth. Again, right click, add to favorites if you want to make it easy to find in the future. Click to place it at the bottom. Now with each of these symbols you can also change the properties, so you can double click on the symbol and you get all of the properties up. The name of the component, the product, description. So I could say that this is a main pump motor. You can use Control and Enter to add multiple lines. You can add a part number or type. I'm also going to put in there that that's a protective earth connection. Good. Next, I'm going to have some protection on here, so I'm going to go to the, not motors, but the protective devices, and I'm going to scroll down and put on here 3-pole trip breaker, hand operated. Zoom in a bit and I can just drop that on the top. Next thing, I want a set of contacts, so I'm going to use a contactor on here. So I should really have added that to my favorites. I'm going to go to relay contacts main. I'm going to extend this one and right click on 3-pole normally open contactor, add to favorites so it's there in future, and I can click to place that. Now this will automatically pick up any master symbol which is in the project. So already I've got F1, it's suggesting I relate to that one. I'm going to overwrite that and say that's going to be actually K1. I haven't placed the master, the coil symbol in this case, so I'm going to place that on there. If I want to copy this, I can window from right to left. Anything that cuts into the box is selected. I can then use the Control C, Windows command for copy, and Control V for paste. And I can place that down. And again, the software is saying, should I link that to F2, the component above? And again, I'm going to overwrite it and say, no, use K2. Okay, so that one's in there. Now we've got some earth terminals, which we're going to actually connect up. So rather than using a potential that goes all the way across the page, I'm going to use the cursor potential and start from the left, go across, click to the right there, and then right click to finish. So that's 2 points. I'm then going to give it an identification of PE, and now I can go to single wire and I can connect these up to the protective earth. Each time I make a connection, it interrupts the wiring command and I can start again with a new wire. We're now going to put some terminals on here, so I'm going to go down into the terminal section and click on 4 terminals vertical, 90 degrees vertical, and I'm going to place the first one on and put it as being X1, terminal number 1. So I can click on the plus to get the next available one, click on OK, and I'm going to right click at this point and just change that terminal number 4, double click on it and change that to be protective earth, so I'll type PE. And I can window round, just window from left to right, so I only select complete items, holding down Control, drag that across, and I got this as the next available numbers. Perfect. Rather than main pump, I'm actually going to change that as well and change that as being, but that's been a reversing motor as well. Press enter twice to finish. We're going to put a cable on there as well. So on the electrical toolbar, I'm going to go to cable, and we're going to choose a C showing the cable color. So this is going to add a fob to the left hand side. Click on the left hand side to the right hand side and we'll see the actual cable information appear. So we're going to type this as W1. We've got information about the cable there, and then we can actually put, if we want, cable colors in there. So put this as being grey, black. I'm using the down arrow to move between these, and I'm going to put that last one as brown, and then green yellow. Again, holding down Control, I'm going to drag that from the left across to the right and just call that W2. Notice it's given it the next available cores if I wanted it to be on the same cable, but I'm going to say that that's W2. So very quick to copy that across. So we've got a fair part of that already done. We're then going to put some wires around this to make this into a reversing contactor. So we're actually going to go from the top, across, down, and to the left, and then repeat that, working across one way and back the other way. and copy this across, hold down Control, drag it across, and we're going to call that K3. Good. So we've got the motor part of this. We're now going to put a converter on here and convert the 3-phase into a single phase. So we're actually going to go to converters, and we'll go down to, let's see, an AC to DC converter. So I'm going to zoom in, drop that down. So I'm going to move it down a bit. I'll need a circuit breaker above there. So I'm going to scroll down my list, switch gear, multipole, and I want a 2-pole circuit breaker. So I've got one there. Right click, add to favorites, and just drop it on there. So I want to draw a wire coming through there onto the L, and one from the neutral onto there. Now underneath we've got a plus and a minus, and as I draw this down, I'll put some protection on there, but as I draw it I can double click at the bottom. So that's using the single wire command, drawing down the page and double clicking. That allows me to put a reference on there to continue on another page. So I can call this one 24 volt, and I can repeat that now, going down the page and double click for 0 volt. So that was using either the shortcut for single wire or the command on the top there. I'm going to go back into here, into converters and into fuses, and put a single pole fuse on there, which is just F3. If I want to put a description, I can double click and say that that's going to be maybe 2 amp or whatever rating. So it's coming together. Going to add a new page. Now if we right click on the existing page, all of the descriptions appear on the next page. So I can right click and choose new page, and I've got the same descriptions. Now in this case I don't really want that, but just to show you that you can do that. So this is motor control, press enter twice, and we've got a new page. So we can go between these. You've got tabs at the top, or you can double click on these. Now we can continue the potentials from the previous page by going to top, clicking on the dB icon and choosing 24 volts to continue that from the previous page. And we can do the same sort of thing using bottom now, and that comes towards the bottom of the page, and we can put that as being a 0 volt. So on this page we've got some relay coils that we need to place on here. So we're going to go down to relay coils, right click and add to favorites, so it's above in our list of frequently used symbols. Place that down, and you can see straight away the software is giving it an identification. It's called a K, and it's given the first number, so it's referenced already what's on page 1 column 2. I'll do the same thing with the next line, K2, and again for K3. So that's fairly straightforward. Going to zoom out, so that's holding down control, wheel backwards, single wire. I'm going to go all the way from the bottom through that symbol, and it's just going to connect. On these two I'm going to switch between these, so I'm actually just going to go up like that, and have another one which goes across and down. So I've got a gap of 10 millimeters, 5 millimeters there. We need a bit of protection on here, or switching, so I'm going to go down to switch gear single pole to find a normally open push button. So I'm looking for NO, and there's a general one there which is perfect, and I'll place that one in. Next I'm going to put on here a contact for the overload, so if that blows then we actually have this circuit stopping. So we're going to go to relay contacts, normally closed, and instead of just a normally closed contact I'm actually going to use it with a thermal indication on there. As you place it in there you can find the list of IDs, but clicking on dB gives you the complete list, and I'm going to choose F1. You can put terminal markings in here, so I can put that this is 95 and 96, click on OK, and that's again referencing back to page 1. If I go back to page 1 just to see what's going on, I can see a reference here nicely, and the same sort of thing underneath the contactors. So it's all automatically linking together, and it will stay linked as long as we want it to be. While I'm in here I'm going to right click, add to favorites, and I'm going to choose a normally closed contact from the K3, and a similar thing above this one to the right, and I can just manually type if I want, if I'm certain about it, and link that to K2, and you can see that appearing in the cross-referencing below. Just above, I want a changeover switch to switch between these two. So again, I'm going to go to switch gear, this time switch gear changeover, and I'm going to choose a symbol down here. Now this is a three position switch. Now it's upside down. I really want it inverted, so I'm going to place it on the page, select it, then right click and choose mirror. Mirror allows you to define an axis to mirror about, as if you were placing a mirror there. So I'm going to go 2 clicks from left to right, and I can see I've now rotated that symbol. So if I place that across there, I can drag that wire across, and there's a bit that's gone through the symbol which I'm going to highlight and hit delete. So that's now connected, and it's switching between the two. Perfect. So we're going to put another relay contact. So we're going to go to relay contacts, normally closed, thermal link, and put that as being F2. I can go to DB and pick it from the list and click OK. We're going to put some wires across on the right hand side for indication. We're going to put some lamps on there. So I'm going to draw one down. I'm going to hold down the number 2 and drag and let go on the 2 now, and let go at this point. That's an array copy. I want 2 copies of that. So you hold down the number of copies on the keyboard and drag an object. So I'm using shortcuts. It's always good to know the shortcuts. Under lamps, I'm going to go down to signal lamp. And remember, again, you can type L when it's on your key, on your cursor, to draw a line. And then you can draw the line through a series of wires, and it will place a symbol on every point in there. As well as using L for line to define where you want to place something, you can also use R for rectangle. So if I went down to terminals, click on 90° vertical, and I can say around this push button here, if I type R, I can define a rectangle, and anywhere that that cuts the Y, it will add a terminal, which is nice and quick. So I've got terminals X1 and 2. Same sort of thing on these lamps. Type R, go around this, and we've got the next available one, which is 9 now, and then click on OK. I'm going to put some contacts above just to allow these to be switched on and off. So we're going to do relay contacts, normally open, right click, add to favorites, that's available, place that one in for K1, K2, and then K3. So we can put some descriptions in there by double clicking. Pump running, forwards, and reverse. We can use page up and page down to go through the project. We can zoom in, zoom out, and we can then see the information on there. We're linking on wires going between pages. If we've got, or if you have the standard version or the advanced version, so this is not available on the basic, you can click on numbers at the top under electrical, click on generate. You can run potential numbering instead of each wire, piece of wire having a different number, and you can also say the wire number goes across terminals if you want to. Skip terminals, and then click on renumber, and every wire is then assigned a wire number. If the wire, let's just go back into that and explain this one. If the wire comes off a potential, that's one of these ones with the arrows, you use F11 and F12, then it will be given the name of that potential. So hence we have L1, 2 and 3 and NE and N and protective earth on there. So with the project finished, we can also produce some documentation. Under graphical lists, we can right click on any of the graphical lists, for instance a product list. We can generate that to produce a list of what's in the project. We can go down to a terminal matrix. This is on the standard and advanced versions. We can generate that. Click on OK to produce a list of all the terminals and what they're connected to. And this includes any jumpering which we might have in there. And we can produce terminal plans, again from the standard and advanced upwards, which allows us to show the cables and what they're connected between and any information we've attached to those cables.